Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting session of Employee Center Academy. This is part of Live on ServiceNow series. We also have a lot of other exciting events going on as part of Live on ServiceNow events umbrella. Just to introduce myself to those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I'm Smriti Gupta, Senior Outbound Product Manager with Unified Employee Experience Team. And this is the team that manages Employee Center Pro, and related conversational integrations with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Now Mobile, and so on. Co-hosting this session with me is Pooja Gupta, who is the outbound leader for our team. I'll just pause to let you say hi, Pooja.
Hi, folks. Nice to meet you all again. Super excited to hear your questions and comments today. Welcome to the session.
Thank you so much. Moving on, just a safe harbor call out here for any of the roadmap items or forward-looking statements that we may be sharing in this session. Please don't make your purchasing decisions based on any roadmap items or forward-looking statements. Um, so Employee Center Academy is a series of monthly events that we do where we do a product deep dive on any of the um key features and capabilities within our product suite. We have done a lot of interesting sessions in the past, such as dynamic topic microsites, employee news, company events, guided self-service, experience and service feedback, and also provided best practice recommendations for some of the important processes during your deployment journey, such as design techniques, how to optimize OCM within your portal deployment, and so on and so forth. We have provided recordings for all of the previous sessions. You can see the link on the screens. We'll be sure to share the link with you in chat as well. Housekeeping rules. Please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A panel. We have experts on call who are monitoring the Q&A panel and would be answering your questions as in when we go on about the session. If we have time towards the end, we'll try to take up live questions, but if not, we'll be sure to answer all the questions within the Q&A panel. If you have any comments, please feel free to share your thoughts or feedback in the chat, but avoid posting your questions in the chat panel. They may get missed out. This session is being recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording and the slide deck for the session on community and on YouTube. The SLA is typically 7 to 10 days. So after that, you can revisit community or monitor the Academy page to see the recording of the session. After this event, you'll be prompted to fill out a very short survey. Whatever feedback you provide in that short survey, it helps us improve the further events that we are planning for you. So please feel free to share your feedback and help us improve these further sessions for you. The topic for today is Portal Performance Deep Dive. This topic is essentially to advise you on how you could optimize the performance of your portal for your instances within your organization. We'll be covering a very packed agenda today. We'll be going over the overview of portal performance, key drivers that actually affects the performance for your portal. We also have few tools to share which you could leverage to monitor the performance of different widgets within your instance. So we'll be talking about that. And the major chunk of this session is going to focus on key areas that you should essentially focus on to help you optimize the performance of your portal. To introduce the panelists for today's session, I have Rohan Rasane, the engineering expert on call with me. And from the engineering team, I also have Sajil. Thank you both for joining and providing your expert advice for the session. Other panelists on call, I have Mohit from my outbound team and Ravi from the product docs team. Thank you everyone for joining. And Rohan, I will let you proceed with the overview of portal performance.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Greetings. I'm Rohan Rasne, based out of the Santa Clara office, and happy to go over this session and answer any questions that you guys have. Uh, yep, we can get started. Why is performance important and why does it matter? I think we all know here that whenever we go to a portal site for the employees, it is kind of an ask where employees should see the content that is delivered to them on the portal within a few seconds. And it is very critical because we don't want to have a poor portal user experience where a site is loading or the portal is taking more than 15 seconds to load, and that can basically turn off the users and make them stay away from the portal. So that's the number one thing. The other important aspect is when there are big events or there is kind of open enrollment, for an example, where people, the employees want to get onto the portal, they definitely want to get on it fast and understand what are their options by getting into the specific pages. So it is critical that the portal page should be performant, as it is kind of an enterprise grade thing, and you don't want to have a slow experience and thereby making the users really dissatisfied. Uh, that is why it actually matters. And then I'll also be speaking about what are the main components that can cause the portal to be slow in the following slides. But basically, you don't want to make the users dissatisfied, is the ask. Now, one of the questions that I don't know how technical I want to go into this session based on, I don't know how many developers do we have or the personas that are attending this meeting, but uh, I try to ensure that I get in some technicalities of it. And to start with that, it is a kind of easy way for the enterprises who are using the ServiceNow portal to see how the portal is performing. What they can easily do is they can load the portal in the browser that they like, could be Firefox or Chrome, and they could open the developer tools. And few things that they could start looking at or troubleshooting is they could see, like by enabling the developer tools, see when is the first paint on the page loaded. Like for example, when is the content started to get rendered. So there are a couple of standards like FCN, first time to load, repeat view, cache view, and full load view. So these are the aspects that you should start looking at, and that will tell you how much time it is taking for a user to load a portal. Like for example, impersonate a user. Don't impersonate an admin. Like don't, if you are an admin, try to impersonate as a user, because that would give you an insights of how much time is it taking for it to load. Because the portal is highly personalized. What I mean by that is there is a set of content that is only visible for a set of employees. Now, if you are an admin, you might not have a lot of content scheduled for you or personalized for you. So the time might differ from user to user. So try to probably log in as two, different personas and see how much is the time it takes to load for the first time when it is like a fresh load. Try to refresh the page and see how much time it takes to load, and then you might get an idea of how much time it takes for the page to load. Uh, if we can go to the next slide. Uh, I do see a question about, is there any KB for troubleshooting slowness in the portal? I'm actually going to look at the questions as well. So I think Sajal is already answering it, but in short, we are coming up with a community post on that. We do have some content already, but we are also coming up with the latest community post. Uh, let's say you are not doing performance testing for a portal, and you say that you want to go live with Employee Center. You are moving from some other technology, let's say SharePoint or probably something else that you're using currently, and then you directly want to jump in and go live. There could be some problems with that. and we have seen that with some of our customers. And I'll give you an example here. So if you look at this sequence diagram, whenever the user makes a call to load the portal, it first has to leave the call, or it has to go pass through the enterprise network of your company. And then there are proxy settings or edge level settings which have to be tested for. The reason is there could be a configuration where anything going out to ServiceNow.com might have some restrictions. So those restrictions need to be checked out for. Once the call goes out of that proxy layer, out of the company's network, it comes into ServiceNow. And then from ServiceNow network, it is routed to a node where the content is then built up and then passed on to the user. So in short, there was a customer who had a similar issue where they said that there were requests to the portal that were getting rejected. But we found out that it was happening at their proxy layer because there was a misconfiguration at a proxy setting for ServiceNow.com, which did not allow any more traffic after a certain point. Now, what is that allowance that or configurations that you should set is something where that is very specific to company. I would highly recommend that whatever current technology that you are using, try to look at the analytics data for a past year and see, get some stats like how much concurrency you guys were hitting with that platform. And by concurrency means how many requests you were that tool was being made per minute, per hour, and so on. And what was the highly used topic? Like for example, one of the customers said they had SharePoint pages as news center, and then they were making calls, and they had a stats of, let's say, 11,000 users were making a call over a minute, over a hour. So those things are really critical. And once you know that, then try to set that up in a dedicated performance environment where the code is production like, and start doing performance testing. Last year we had a session where we did a deeper dive on what is performance testing, how you should do it, what tools you could use. So JMeter is one of the good tools that you could use. In addition to that, what can be possible is while you're doing JMeter testing, do a simulation of a user test, like log in as a user onto the UI, and while the performance test is being conducted, then see how much is the load time. Because you're with JMeter, you're doing like performance testing and loading the system, the server, the ServiceNow server or the instance, and at that same time you're doing the UI test. So that is something that you guys should perform. And if you guys need help with that, we do have a process around that as well. We have some services around that, so please reach out to us if you need that help. I see a question. This assumes access is from the could be direct from home. Yes, it could also direct from home, but yeah, in case if it's not over the enterprise network, it would not affect. But in general, what we have seen is there are most of the accesses also come from the enterprise network. So that's the reason I tried to cover that. So that's also a good start to see that how many requests are being made from inside the network and outside the network as well. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. Yeah, next slide, please. So again, we covered most of this in the last year's session, but I'll just do a recap. So some of the things that affect the performance are the code that we write, the custom code that is there, the widgets that are shipped, the widgets configurations that could be a problem in form of user criterias, audiences that we have. Also could be less caching. Like for example, scripted user criterias are not cached. So that means that every time we are using that user criteria, it's going to do a fetch from, it's going to do that recomputation. Again, some of the things that matter is when we try to open a knowledge article can be comprised of content blocks or knowledge blocks. They also have their user criteria. So not only checking the like we should not only check the user criteria for the knowledge, but also for the content blocks. And we do have a mechanism that can help, which I'll show you guys in the following slides. Again, things like if you're using images, ensure that those images are optimized for the web. There are tools for optimizing those images online as well, which you should definitely try to use and reduce the image sizing, because we've seen images of size 5 MB, 20 MB that are being used, and this is going to to definitely impact the page load time. Again, if you guys are building any customizations, ensure that there is pagination in the content that is being rendered. One of the customers had built a custom news feed widget, which didn't have any pagination. So that was kind of a bigger problem. And then we recommended them to have pagination uh, for the that news widget that they built. Again, look at the server side processing for the scripts that are being used to render the portal. So if those are not optimized queries, it's going to load slower. The widget is going to load slower, so that is going to affect the portal's performance. Again, client-side scripts. Again, we say that try to avoid client-side scripting to an extent. Don't put timers. There are some latest widgets that can allow you to do those timers and all that stuff, but try to avoid uh, the refresh timers and memory leaks that they kind of result in. I'm just looking at the question here. Where can we find expected ranges for performances? So again, this is like the question is, where can we find expected ranges for performances? Again, this depends to every customer. It is very specific to their use case, to their data, and to the content that they're showing. So we don't usually come up with numbers, but what we can definitely look at is like create a case. If you feel your page is rendering slower, we can definitely help you see and then tell you how much performance impact, how much performance improvements you can do in terms of loading of the page. Is there a page load times dashboard user experience similarly calculated? Let me show you a demo, and then probably that question would be answered. So moving on to the demo, probably we can start with the slide, Smriti, if possible, and then I'll move on to the demo. So, like what first thing that we see when we get a case is that things like what are the custom widgets. So we start from there when we get a case task, and then we look at how much is the page load time. So until now, or until July, we didn't have a tool that could give that stat to us. Neither do was the tool available for customers to use it. But starting July release, we shipped a tool called Performance Indicator Widget. There was a widget, existing widget, but we improvised it to add some matrix around how much time it takes to load that widget, how much is the server processing time, how much is the client load time. And the way we did it is by adding something called as hotspots. So most of our homepage widgets do have hotspots which tell how much is the processing time, and I'll show you an example of hotspot. And why we think this would be helpful is something that you can see after the demo. So I will move on to the demo. Can I get the screen share, Smriti? I'll just,
Yeah, I'll just stop sharing.
yeah. Hey, I hope you can see my uh, Firefox.
Yes.
In this, So what you see here is the portal homepage, and if you look at the bottom left, you'll see there is a timer icon. It's nothing but the performance details or indicator widget, and you'll see some stats like what is the category, what are the widgets that are shown on the page. You'll see whether they are displayed or not. Some widgets are very targeted to a set of personas, so you'll not see all of the widgets. Plus, you'll see what is the client side load time currently that is there for them. Now, if let's say a user called Emily Scolin reports that they are having slow load on their homepage. Sorry, let me just enable this. So let's say a user is saying that they're seeing performance issues on the page load time. What you as a service portal admin can do is you enable this performance stats, and what will happen after that is, let's say you impersonate the user Emily. It's going to grab all the stats that is taking like for the homepage load. So for example, whatever you see here, you'll that will be kind of grabbed using those. So once I impersonate and once the page load is complete, I would go back and impersonation and go to this performance widget again, and then I'll search school. And the previously you were able to see the refresh time. Instead, now you'll see something called as a server time, and you'll see the times for that. And because the page took probably 5 seconds, around 5 seconds to load, what you'll see is every widget and the time it takes for the server processing. So let's look into this one. So my items widget is nothing but the widget that you see on the right. I'll show you that again, but let's get into that first. So what it usually shows is all the activity configurations. So let me go back, and then that might be easier. So this is all the activity configurations. And what this shows as the stat is that it took almost 3 seconds to load this page, and that's how you can get in. So for example, if you get into this one, you'll see that it is calling a function. And then in this function, as an example, I've written a bad user query, and that is kind of taking 3 seconds. So probably it's one of the easier ways where you don't have to create a case task. Your service SP admin or ESC admin can do this themselves and find out how much time is every widget taking to load. So that way, it is way easier than to create case tasks or get blocked or and probably take our. So uh, as of today, I think most of our widgets which are on the homepage are using this hotspots, but we are planning to add more and more support to this on the other pages as well. So this widget could be visible on any of the pages uh, as long as you're using the uh, ESC the ESC menu. So that's how it is actually tied to. Any questions?
I don't see any active questions in the Q&A panel.
Okay, cool. We can move on to the slide. I'll stop my share. There's actually a question on the chat. Why does activity configuration have one primary? So I think it only, by default, it only supports one primary, if I'm not wrong. So that was the tasks that was selected as a primary. So that's the reason it's there. That I hope I'm right, Sajal, on that.
Yeah, and one more reason was that we we will not be able to show so many cards for different set of items if we make them as primary also, and my active items would take a lot of space on the right hand side. So we wanted to limit it to one primary only.
Yep. Thanks. So yeah, we can go to the next slide if there are no questions on this widget. But we feel with this, like enterprises will be able to look at where the widget is slow and solve it. So not only scripts, but this also gives details like if there is any slow. Maybe let me share the screen one more time. No, Smriti.
Sure.
So let's say we looked at this activity configurations, which was slower. If I click on that, it points us to the script that is kind of a problem. But if you look at the related tabs, it also points down to any slow queries or slow transactions or slow patterns that are tied to this request. So that way you can identify what's happening. Like for example, in this case, because it was a bad user query or bad check that I had put in, not a user query, but bad coding strategy, it shows that it has a high CPU timing. In addition to that, if we look at some of the other aspects for Emily, so if you see, let's say, content experience, the reason I'm showing this is because you could get in the nested calls. So for showing that content experience widget, it goes through a certain set of schedules. So there is nesting happening where it checks for audiences, and every audiences, there is a user criteria tied to it. So it also checks that, and we can go and get in deeper to find out where the problem is. Let's say this was 240 seconds. So we could have gotten this related record or this schedule and see what is the problem. And if the user criteria is bad, we could fix that. So again, for this, it has tied in some slow queries and slow patterns to it. So related transactions and slow patterns are already something that the platform provides. So that is also something that is tied in this performance stats that we have released probably early last year, but then we did some fixes to it. So July should be a stable release that you could please use this. Thanks, Ruti. Let's go on to the next one. Yeah, we can.
All right.
Yep.
So let's move further and try to understand what are the key areas you could focus on while you're trying to optimize the performance of your portal. So when we think about the Employee Center portal, the major chunk of the load time is taken by the mega menu processing because we have a lot of connected content associated to each of these taxonomy topics. And the read criteria on each of these connected content takes up a lot of processing time. So the first bucket or the first area that we recommend organizations to focus on while they are trying to optimize the portal performances, mega menu and taxonomy related optimizations. And we are going to cover three main out of the box enhancements or functionalities that we have recently shipped that could help you optimize the portal performance. The second bucket we are going to talk about is overall homepage load. So we are going to talk about scenarios such as what happens in a high traffic scenario, or what happens if the first time load experience is slower, and how you could give a perception of a faster load time for your overall homepage. Then finally, we are going to talk about all the other optimizations with respect to content available on the portal and database related optimizations towards the end of the session. The first point we are going to focus on is topic level access control. Some of you might already be aware about this. This is something we released back in November last year, and this requires Yokohama release. For all the Employee Center customers, it does not require any pro licenses. So essentially what we have devices earlier, if you remember the Previously, access was determined at the connected content level. So for each of the taxonomy topic, whatever connected content I have tagged, be it service catalog or knowledge article, if the end user has access to that, only then the topic would be displayed in the navigation, which essentially slowed down the homepage loading for many organizations who had a complex or a scripted user criteria, or they had a lot of content tagged to their topics. Now, with this November release, we have provided something called topic-based access control or topic-based user criteria, where you can define whether this topic is available for this particular audience or not available for this particular audience. And it defines the visibility of that topic page on the mega menu or on the popular topics widget on the home page. This helps you improve the page load time. And we only recommend this enhancement to be used for if you're looking for performance optimizations, not as a primary means or mode of access control for topic based information, because the underlying content security remains valid. And the users who have access to the connected content can view the content on the topic pages. So if you're trying to explore these functionalities, edge cases may exist where you're still able to view the topic page if an end user has a direct topic page link. So the important call out is we have only made this feature available for performance optimizations use cases, and you may still experience edge cases where the standard connected content access is still available, even if the topic-based access has been restricted. So that is not our recommendation. If you want to use it for as a primary access control mechanism, that is not what we recommend. Next on, we have connected content management. And if you still have some open questions related to the topic-based access control, please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A panel. Quickly moving on to the connected content management. So we understand that managing the entire connected content has become complex for organizations as they kind of scale up their taxonomy topics and add more content, more service catalogs or knowledge bases to their topics. And admins face two main challenges. First is, as the connected content grows, and new catalog items are added or old ones are retired or knowledge articles are updated and replaced, keeping all of these information or all of these resources or assets synced with the topics and taxonomies, it requires a lot of manual effort. And all of these content linkages to the categories are frequently updated. So new items get added to the taxonomy topics, or it gets moved from one topic to another across categories. And there's no easy way to kind of keep track of those changes. So we have, with the July release, we have provided few enhancements that helps you manage the overall connected content more efficiently. We are now introducing a dedicated tab on the topic page configuration called outdated connected content for managing the connected content. So this tab actually highlights all of the outdated content across the taxonomy topics. And you can go ahead and define what exactly is outdated content. It could be a catalog item that has been marked as inactive, or a knowledge article that has been retired, or anything that you feel should be marked as outdated. So admins can have a quick look at the outdated content and just with a single click, remove the linkages of that outdated content with that topic, so that it essentially helps improve the page load time or the processing time. You can also automate this process. So we have also introduced a new scheduled job that automatically cleans up this connected content. And out of the box, this scheduled job has been set to false, but admins can go ahead and set it to true, and it will run once in a day and clean up all the outdated content automatically without needing any manual intervention. Additionally, to keep track of all the content changes that has been added or removed, you will have a separate tab or a separate field that clearly shows what new content has been added or removed across categories. So topic managers always have visibility into what's changing and what without actually going through the entire categories. We'll also share the July release blog in the chat if you want to kind of deep dive into any of these enhancements. Important call out here is this connected content management requires Zurich release. Next on, we have asynchronous mega menu load. So like I've already said, when we load the homepage for the first time, the mega menu takes the maximum time to kind of load because the processing for mega menu is slightly complex. You need to compute the access or read criteria for the taxonomy topics and then the underlying connected content as well. For that, we have kind of released the asynchronous mega menu enhancement with the July release. What it does is, if the user is visiting for the second time, if it's a repeat visit, it can render the menu from your cache. If the menu items are not computed and stored in cache, it can load a skeleton view. So you can see in the screenshot, the mega menu items are not visible. Instead, it shows the skeleton view of the mega menu so that the user can continue the other tasks that they were there on the portal for. For example, I was there to check my active items or my notifications. I can still go ahead and check my notifications. And the mega menu, once it loads, uh, it can render once the page refreshes, right? What happens if the user is visiting for the first time? So in that case, it can still render a skeleton view, and there's a background thread going on that's called asynchronous mega menu built up. So it kind of forks the resource intensive processes into two different threads and improves the responsiveness on the front end by a few seconds. What admins need to do to get this enhancement is there's this asynchronous load system property. They need to enable it by default. It is shipped as false, and they can go ahead and mark it as true. I will just take a very brief pause. Rohan, would you be able to demo the 3 enhancements that we have just talked about?
Yes. So I'll try to show where they are, the properties, but
Yeah.
async menu probably is not a demo, but I can show where the property is.
Yeah.
So if you go to the system properties, you'll and search for employee center and async, you'll see 2 properties that you should basically turn on and then give a timeout to. Sajal, do you want to add anything about this async menu load and the experiences we had with some of the customers and the success? You want to speak briefly on that?
Yeah, I think this was a good performance enhancement for most of the customers, as the async mode of mega menu, it doesn't affect the page performance, and visually it will make your portal appear to everyone. And meanwhile, in the back end, it will automatically fetch those mega menu complex calculations without affecting anything on the homepage.
And then by this, what it means is like in ServiceNow's way of rendering content and serving content on whenever the user requests it via browser is anything that is UI or has a specific UI thread, and anything that is non-UI like an API or anything like a background job, schedule job goes to a background thread. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to, because the UI thread is so busy serving the content, and that content could be translated into, let's say, hundreds of API calls and then those API calls from the UI are treated as UI, they fall into the UI thread. Each of those could take some amount to process. Like for example, there'll be schedules, there'll be activities, there'll be user like any. Let's say take an example of the my activity configuration. Let me show you that. It tries to compute all of these. It tries to render all of these activity configurations, and to render it, it has to go through the compute. So what we are trying to do is whatever is heavier, we're trying to push it to the background thread. And the way we do that is with the async, and that applies to the menu. We might do something more with the other widgets, but I think only fixing that, we found there is a big performance gain. So do try it out. Just enable this property and set the timeout and see how much improvement you guys can achieve in your subprod, and then probably move it to production. So that was about asynchronous menu handling. The other important aspect that we see, which could cause a performance issue, is the outdated connected content. Like for example, KB article, there have been new versions for it, and the old versions are still connected to a particular catalog item. So the problem with that is when those are connected to the taxonomies, whenever we are trying to load that topic, whenever we are trying to load that menu, we are going to check that connected content is accessible to the user or not. And that could slow down the load time of the page. So what we say is like there is look at this outdated connected content tab and see if there is a connected content which is outdated, and then there are bulk actions to either delete it. By delete, I mean detach it from the connected content, and basically improve the performance of the page. This can be also done in an automated way, where there is a scheduled job which we ship which we ship, but we don't run it because I think it's set to false. You guys have to enable that, set it, and then select the frequency to run it. And with that, it will run the job. And then once the job is complete, it will send out an email saying that these are the outdated content that it detached from this topic. That way, it's much more like that way that topic can be rendered much more faster. And in addition to that, what we have seen as another kind of an issue is like connected content have child topics. Like for a taxonomy, there is a topic and then there is child topic to it. And if the, let's say, compensation in this case has a connected content and the article is, let's say, compensation for the US employees. And then there are child topics for US employees, then European employees, Asia employees. And if there are if that same topic, or if that same content is applied to the topic of the subtopics, it is kind of an overhead for the logic to check. So what we say is if like apply only specific connected content to the child topics and not to the parent topic if you don't need that. So if there is any duplicacy, I think you guys should evaluate that and remove those connected content, because that particular article is going to also be evaluated at the root topic level, and which is not required. So that was about topics. The third thing was, what was the third demo piece?
Topic-based access, connected content, and
Correct.
asynchronous mega menu.
Yes. So the other aspect is the user topic criteria check. So you just enable this flag, and then once this flag is enabled, I don't have the right user. I think there is a property to do that, right, Sajal, to enable this. Plus, you need to be an ESC admin, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I'll have to check this also.
Yeah. So once you enable that, you'll see two attributes called available for and not available for. So do try that out. Again, if you guys are using, you have a lot of topics today, we do understand that it is a high touch feature wherein there'll be a lot of testing that is involved. But I think with the user like the security check at the topic level, the load time drastically improves. But yes, we do understand that it might involve you to go through all topics and then apply those criteria. So that's another thing to look out for. So there are going to be some trade-offs that can be impactful. Outside that, the other aspect, do you want to speak about deferred widget, Smriti, or you already spoke about it?
We are going to cover that very quickly.
Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. Passing it on back to you.
Just gonna grab screen share again. And in the interest of time, I will just breeze through these content very quickly. So the second bucket we have is the optimizations on the portal homepage. Again, something we have released with the July release. This is if your portal is experiencing a high traffic experience. For example, there's a company town hall going on, right? And a lot of your employees are logging onto the portal at the same time. You can display a info banner on top that automatically gets displayed that says that the portal is experiencing a high traffic situation and some of the information may be partially available. And some of the widgets can be displayed in a limited experience kind of view with an exclamation like you can see in the screenshot. Admins can obviously define which widgets they want to display in the lighter view, and they can customize the info banner with required text and style. I'm not going super deep into these, but you can check the July release blog for further details. Next up, we
If
have
I can,
yeah, sure.
Smriti, say a word about it. Like why we said performance is critical is because if a page is going to load slower for one user, and if there are going to be 5,000 concurrent users going to log in, that is going to have a critical impact on the instance because uh, because the page is slower, there is a bad user criteria, or let's say total number of widgets are high on that. It's not only going to impact that user, but all the users eventually, and it could mean that the instance is going to be very busy and slow to perform in general as well. And then this is one of the things that would show up if that node is kind of going through that issue. So it would be an experience that you won't like as a user, but this is something that we created so that at least if the system is already busy, we don't want to add more load onto the system. So that's this feature. Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Next up, we have is deferred widget loading. So on the homepage, we have a lot of widgets, and each of these individual widgets, the loading of content and computation of read access takes a lot of time that adds to the load time of the overall portal page. Previously, it used to hold up or freeze the overall load of the entire portal, but now we have provided something called deferred widget loading. What it does is, you can provide a skeleton view of the widgets for whatever information that's still under computation, and the rest of the portal would still be visible to you. So for example, just like the mega menu that we were talking about, instead of showing the mega menu, it would still show the skeleton view. Or for example, if you have a high density information widgets such as popular topics or my applications, you can still show the skeleton view of those widgets. Second part of this enhancement is we are kind of enabling viewport loading for each of these widgets. So for example, if in my first fold, the popular topics widget is not visible. So I won't be computing the popular topics information in parallel to the entire portal computation. Only when I scroll down and it comes into my viewport, only then the computation begins. Rohan, any thoughts or corrections here?
No, I think you covered most of it.
Awesome. Next up is company events. So if you remember, in the beginning of the year, we released something called company events functionality that is available with Employee Center Pro license. So if you are think about a live company events experience such as a town hall, where you typically have a very high traffic, and the portal homepage becomes a bottleneck. So when a user hits the homepage, it spins up a number of background processes such as loading the widgets or navigation or other content. But if those users are just trying to attend the live event, those extra calls are unnecessary. So for optimizing performance, when you are publishing high traffic company events, we have done a few enhancements here. For example, while publishing the event itself, you can set the threshold of, let's say you have an audience that goes beyond 500 for this particular event. So it automatically turns the system into optimized performance view where if I land onto the events page, I see a simplified mega menu there instead of the entire mega menu with taxonomy and everything. I would only see the homepage menu item. That essentially helps in loading that page faster. Also, we have introduced with July release something called homepage intercepts. So what it does is, as you can see in the screenshot, if I am logging onto the portal during a very high traffic event, such as an all hands, it will give a pop-up modal option to me to choose whether I want to go to the events page directly, or instead I want to go to the home page. So if I click on yes, I go to the event, I want to go to the event, it will skip the home page load and directly go to the event page. That essentially helps you optimize the portal performance. We have a new content publishing property to enable this. So admins can go ahead and select this or enable this. Not going into further details, but the good thing is we have already covered a demo for this particular functionality in our last academy, the company events that we did. So I will just skip this one and move to the third bucket that we have, other optimizations. Over to you, Rohan.
Sure. So again, these are some of the enhancements that we've already baked in the July and the Zurich release timeframes. So there is nothing that you need to set up or do differently. But in short, we have improved the page load times on the my active items, the tasks, how they're computed. Can we cache them? Yes, we have done that. And then clean up connected content, which we already spoke about. So that is some of the things which you've already pushed in. By default, there is no need to enable or disable to use these features. Uh, Moving on to the last aspect of it, which is the RaptorDB. So we've seen that with customer tests, performance tests that we've conducted with the customers, we've seen performance improvement from anywhere between 30 to 50%. We started with MySQL, but we moved on to RaptorDB, which is a single database for our analytics as well as transaction processing. So we do highly recommend to move to RaptorDB Pro as a like to all the customers, because we've seen great performance improvements with it. Again, we are not the team to do that. There is a dedicated team that can help. Again, in the interest of time, let's move on to the next slide. Yes, this was, I think, covered in the last year's session. Do image enhancements, do configurations where images are loaded slowly. You use CDNs, and then minified dependencies for the third-party libraries, one of the important aspects to look for. And we can move on to the next, as it's already top of the hour. Yeah, this also we can move on because I've covered this last year in the tech. Yeah, some of the things to look out again is the user criterias, use of scripted user criteria only if there's no alternative. Do check your audience criterias. Too many widgets onto a page can cause the performance to be slow. We've seen that on the topic pages, so be mindful of that. You could just use one rich content widget to handle most of your use cases. Nested contents, I think I spoke about it. Sometimes what we've seen is if there are too many asynchronous widgets, that also can bring a load onto the system. So it might be a good idea to make some widgets synchronous. So try resetting that, and try out that option as well. I think that was it. Sorry, we're not able to get any live questions, but yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully this session was helpful to you, even if it was slightly rushed. Just to summarize what we have covered so far. So first key step for you to go back and check is you need to establish a performance-focused best practice um, process for your content managers and developers. We have thoroughly covered this piece in our last Academy session, the Managing Portal Performance, that we have already shared the link. So you should be able to understand the best practices that we were about to cover in that slide. The second key step is use the widget performance details tool and the hotspots to identify areas of performance bottlenecks, to check the overall performance and the load time for the entire portal. You could also use the different performance testing applications that Rohan has shared. The third key step is use the new optimization features that we have released with July release that we have talked about to improve the portal load time and the overall portal performance. If you're looking to join us in other events, we have office hours. We have the Employee Center Deployment Office hours. The next session is on 28th of October, where you can join us and ask your performance-related questions or any other EC deployment-related questions. For employee communications capabilities, we have a dedicated office hours that we do every first Thursday. The next one is on 6th November. And we also do quarterly roadmap webinars. We look forward to having you in the next Academy session next month. The next topic will be enhanced request experience that we have recently released with the July release. With that, we come to an end of this session. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.